Beautiful day, big game. You're watching the Big Ten Men's Lacrosse Tournament. 12 days ago, Johns Hopkins University earned a share of the regular season title by winning a thriller over their arch rival. Now they plan for a new celebration on their home field. Meanwhile, the reigning national champions, the University of Maryland, they put their trust in freshman netminder Brian Ruppel, who's fast become wise beyond his years. Today, the number 3 seed Terrapins seeking revenge, not far from College Park here in Baltimore, where the second-seeded Blue Jays are primed for this matinee showdown unlike any other. The Big Ten tournament semifinals began earlier today. Michael Boehm and Josh Zawada led Michigan past top-seeded Penn State. Now, Johns Hopkins and Maryland attempt to join them in Saturday's finale. A very pleasant welcome to you. Along with Mark Dixon, I'm Joe Beninati. We were greatly entertained by these two programs just a couple weeks ago. What's changed since then?
Well, Maryland had to play Rutgers last week in the quarterfinals, and they did so with a lighter defensive load. They've got a couple of injuries that they're dealing with on the back line. Meanwhile, Johns Hopkins, they got to bring the big old crab back to Homewood Field and protect it, and they got some rest in preparation for today's tilt.
As we introduce you to the netminders today, Brian Ruppel, ready to answer the challenge. He has the knack, Mark, to make the big save in the big moments.
He has been really a savior on the defensive end after the season-ending injury to Logan McNaney. Ruppel has played beyond his years and has become a trusted backstop on this back line for Maryland.
The Blue Jays, they have Tim Marcille as their backstop, a man very familiar with a pressure-packed Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, this is a guy who played well and led Johns Hopkins to the 2021 Big Ten championship game against the University of Maryland. He is streaky, tends to start out hot, might fall off a little bit in the middle of the game, so consistency will be key for number 10 in the white and blue.
Maryland, third seeded, 9-4 overall, under the direction of John Tillman, who has fashioned spectacular numbers as the boss in College Park. Matching wits today, once again, with Peter Milliman. Milliman bringing 11-4 Johns Hopkins to the party. Peter, in his third season, took over the Blue Jays head coaching job in April of 2020. Officials today are Tim Czechia, Mike McCloskey, and Jason McGinn. The winner of this one gets the Michigan Wolverines on Saturday. The Wolverines upsetting top seed Penn State. Weirman and Naruski on the opening draw, and it belongs to Johns Hopkins off the ground. Mazzone, who is a ground ball magnet, had 8 ground balls in the regular season finale against Maryland just a few days ago.
Incredible ground ball pickup by Alex Mazzone. So good off of the wings, first team All Big Ten selection, and that's good news for the Blue Jay faithful. Naruski gave way to Tyler Dunn, who was able to neutralize Weirman down in College Park. Naruski takes the first faceoff, wins it clean, and away the Blue Jays go.
Impressive freshman Matt Collison on the throwback here. They'll work it for Angelus. He's the quarterback, 23 in the white, marked by Will Schaller. Schaller's defensive responsibilities accelerating rapidly with Ajax Zapatello injured. Blue Jays' first possession, nice catch by Melendez. Dylan Bauer rounding things out. It's Bauer from the wing against the long stick midfielder Jack McDonald. Deliberate possession, Melendez closing, scores! Russell Melendez.
Johns Hopkins starts as they finished about 10 days ago in College Park. Melendez scored the game winner on a brilliant backhander. The skip pass is what makes this work for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. Dylan Bauer uses the pick, gets separation, cycles it down, and Angelus. How about the confidence of Russell Melendez to catch, face dodge, and look at the body control. He falls behind the cage, keeps his feet out of the crease, stays out of the goal mouth. Hopkins with the big score.
Russell Melendez goals in 10 straight outings. getting the Blue Jays off to the start that they would have desired. Weirman gets the ball right back, however, for Maryland.
Big face-off win for Weirman. You mentioned the absence of Ajax Apatello. He missed last week's game with an injury. And then also keep an eye on John Geppert. LSM 1 is dealing with some leg issues. He did not play the second half against Rutgers a week ago. John McDonald, number 51 in red, will take the majority of the runs at long stick midfield.
Erksa bounced that one wide. Braden Erksa, the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, was brilliant in that quarterfinal that you and I had. Maryland downing Rutgers. Erksa had a goal and 6 assists.
Amazing that he's become the leader of this Maryland offense just as a precocious freshman.
Maltz's pass is too high. It's a turnover. Back to Melendez and the Blue Jays as we hit the 2-minute mark with a flag down against Maryland.
And Maryland starts the way they finished in College Park a couple of weeks ago. Offensive turnovers. Things you don't see the Terps do on a regular basis. They throw that one away. I believe we're going to have a delay of game against Maryland. 5 yards not given on the restart to the Blue Jay player.
Save for the black helmets. It's the Terps in the all red. Blue Jays in white. Maneuvering in here. McDermott. Swing it back behind for Melendez. Working against Maryland's number 1, Brett Makar. Makar ran right through the pick. Staying on Melendez's hands. His bounce shot goes wide of Rupel. And now Johns Hopkins will go man up.
Red 47, delay game, 30 seconds.
The delay of game penalty is on Nick Red, number 47 in red. He's typically a short stick defensive midfielder, but because of the injury to John Geppert, he will play long stick midfield. And he gets caught up in the middle of the field on that restart, doesn't give the 5-yard cushion. Man up opportunity for Johns Hopkins.
92 in the white is Colton Marquis, who hasn't appeared in a Blue Jays game since February. Out there to work on the extra man unit. Melendez goes around the horn for Angelus.
This is a revamped unit. Chevette also in there for Johns Hopkins. This is an EMO unit minus Grimes and Peshko at this time.
Long range drive. Rupel made the stop there on Collison. Chevette, who hasn't played since the middle of March.
So a little odd that Marquis and Chevette are out there on an extra man unit in such a game with high stakes. Grimes and Peshko have done a nice job, but we'll see how it works out for the Blue Jays.
On the advance, it's Jack McDonald off the feed there. Snapshot coming. Sizzled high by Daniel Kelly. Johns Hopkins has the early 1-0 advantage. Melendez striking first. The winner of this one gets Michigan. In case you missed it in the initial semifinal of this Big Ten tournament, the Wolverines prevailed over Penn State, just their second ever win over a top 5 program in 21 tries.
Wow, what a wild game that was. Goaltending in the second half and face-off domination led the Wolverines to their first ever Big Ten final.
Second midfield out there for Maryland, and it's been productive lately. Siracusa brings the ball back behind the cage. Siracusa on the roll, working against Raposo. The pass is low, gets away from Whittier. He recovers. Still 22 seconds to shoot for the Terps. Zach Whittier had a goal in the win in the quarterfinal over Rutgers. Sweeping against Mazzone. This is Maltz, with Mazzone hedging out on him. Siracusa to the alley, bounced it wide of Marcio. On the end line, it'll stay Maryland ball with Braden Erksa.
Hopkins very physical. Scott Smith finished off that slide against Siracusa. The Blue Jays being rude hosts thus far. Remember, a year ago, Maryland embarrassed Johns Hopkins on this field 22-7. Some of those demons were vanquished in College Park at the end of the regular season, but you know that that's got to still be on the minds of the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays.
Maryland has won 5 of the last 6 against its arch rival. 9 of 14 since the two teams have gone to the Big Ten Conference together. Blue Jays survived the early extra man opportunity. Now Collison will bring it along. Matt Collison has points in 13 of 15 games this season.
It's been a terrific addition to this Blue Jay lineup. Hit a little bit of a freshman wall, but the last couple weeks his game has gotten re-energized.
Collison feeds, Melendez fires, he scores! Russell Melendez back-to-back.
Earlier in the season, Collison was basically just a dodging presence from up top, going to his strong left-hand side. We saw him invert, we saw him wing dodge a couple weeks ago against Maryland. Now we're going to see further evolution of his game, feeding the ball right-handed, no less. Look at the confidence and the sweet stroke of Russell Melendez. There might not be anyone in the country playing with more swagger at this point in the season than number 31 for Johns Hopkins.
Russell Melendez, 34 points in his last 9+ games. We've only played just a few minutes in this Big Ten semifinal. He's cashed in twice.
Matt Naruski shaken up. He's dealt with knee issues over the last couple of years as he limps off of the field, something to keep an eye on. Good face-off win against Luke Weirman.
Very gingerly over to the sideline. The athletic trainer for the Blue Jays is Ryan Slay. Johns Hopkins with the ball in the white. Jogging in off the sideline, this is Ryan Evans. Blue Jays trying to make it a 3 spot to start the game with McDermott. Bounces, he scores!
Johns Hopkins has had a number of injuries this season, which led to lineup shuffles. And this man, number 33, Casey McDermott, didn't play until the Syracuse game. His absence, along with others, allowed other players to develop, but no mistake. Casey McDermott is a talented player. He's confident with the ball in his stick, and he is just going to take his matchup and dust him up top. Down the alley, no slide, primary move, finds the far post. Casey McDermott giving Johns Hopkins a quick start and a rude welcome to the Maryland Terrapins.
And is brought to you by TIAA, the official retirement planning partner of the Big Ten. And by Dr. Pepper, official partner of the Big Ten. That super large crab, the rivalry trophy, is currently in possession of the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. 12 days ago, Peter Millerman and his squad prevailed in a thrilling game against Maryland, a 1-goal game. They're off to a 3-0 advantage today.
That was an awesome game. I know you and I had an incredible time calling it. Good energy, good crowd, good lacrosse, intense. And if you're Maryland, you're a little lethargic. Coming out offensively, sloppy. If you're Johns Hopkins, you have to feel really, really good. The layoff seems to have done you good. Fresh legs, pep in the step, confidence. This is a Johns Hopkins team looking to make some noise. Again, another lock for the NCAA tournament. This is all about, can Hopkins keep the ship straight to get potentially a top 4 seed.
Luke Weirman moved on that face-off. Violation gives the ball to the Blue Jays. Angelus playing catch with Melendez. Melendez with a couple right off the jump. Degnon working in, outstanding stretch shooter for the Jays. McDermott's the last man on the board. Angelus, who erupted for 5 points against Maryland in the regular season meeting. Stopping and starting. Gets topside. Feed. Degnon from down under. He yanked that one wide.
Yeah, Degnon, his assignment is Burlace, Makar is on Melendez. Schaller the freshman, gets the quarterback. This was Zapatello's matchup in game 1.
Schaller peeking out now, keeping Angelus at stick's length. There's the screen on the big little set. They feed it inside for Melendez. It's too high. Ball down. Nice work there by Jack McDonald. McDonald expected to get a lot more reps today with John Geppert ailing and perhaps not even available. Dante Trader backs it away for Maryland as the Terrapins look for their first strike on the board.
There was some talk this week that some of the freshmen that Maryland is redshirting, namely A.J. Larkin and Riley Reese, might take the red shirt off with the depth, with Geppert missing time with the pole, Zapatello being down, but Nick Red will spell McDonald, and Geppert's going to try to go as much as he can this afternoon.
Braden Erksa is picked up on the perimeter by Scott Smith, a second-team all-conference defender in the Big Ten. Erksa, the freshman of the year, sharing the ball with Jack Koras. Koras just 1 goal in his last 4 games. This is Long, the veteran, Kyle Long, on a throwback for Daniel Kelly, who scored in every game this season. Koras' Whistler blocked there on the outside by Carson Brown.
And you can see Johns Hopkins is putting a short stick on Daniel Kelly. Kelly's an incredible shooter, but Brett Martin, the shorty, has his assignment.
Erksa ran right into the double team. Brett Martin was there to swallow him up. Zuluk came up with a ground ball. Possession for Johns Hopkins.
And the whistle stops play as Kelly lost his stick. That's a legal procedure. Referee making sure Hopkins gets a clean pickup and attempt to clear. And the Blue Jays right now, they're really playing good lacrosse.
Extremely buttoned up in front of Marseille in the game's first 9 minutes. Cam Chavette, told you he hasn't played since March 19th. Prior to him being on the sidelines, he had goals in each of his last 3 outings. Collison from deep fakes it, and he crossed up Melendez with a pass there. Turnover back to Maryland.
Maybe Collison a little too generous. I think Melendez said, okay, I've seen this before. 16 gets inside, he's going to let her rip. But instead, he tries to get it to Melendez, and like you said, crossed him up, turnover, Johns Hopkins.
Blue Jays on a nice roll. They've won 7 of their last 8 as Siracusa gets away from the can opener check of Mazzone. Finds the open man. That's the clearing midfielder Garrett Gibbons. Erksa will skip it. Spanos will keep it hot. Kelly fires, and Marseille found it about shoulder high.
I was baffled by Hopkins' defensive setup right there. They basically created a 5-on-4 for Maryland, and Kelly got a clean look at that. I think if he had it back, he'd place it a little better, playing catch with Marseille.
That's Mark Dixon. I'm Joe Beninati. 3 cheers for all the men and women in our technical crew today. Long, long day. First semifinal began at 1 p.m. Eastern. Now we're enjoying Maryland and Johns Hopkins, the rivalry in Division I lacrosse. Evans back behind the cage, sharing it with Angelus, the #1 point scorer and leading assist man for the Blue Jays. Defended by Schaller, switch it for Evans. McDermott gets into the alley, the last man to strike for Johns Hopkins in this 3-0 advantage. Ball down, pops up, Makar sees Burlace come away with it. Colin Burlace, who had 3 caused turnovers against the Blue Jays in the last meeting.
We're seeing Owen Murphy with the ball on his stick right now, playing some attack, his natural position.
The transfer to Maryland began his college career here at Johns Hopkins. We're at Homewood Field, temperatures in the 50s. Kyle Long will bring it off the sideline and wait for subs to come on. There's a flag down. He was begging for a call there against the Blue Jays. The officials agree. Messrs. 𝐒𝐄𝐌𝐈𝐅𝐍𝐀𝐋, McCloskey, and McGinn. Erksa flashing against Zuluk. Ball kicked down. Scooped by the Blue Jays, who will be a man down.
Hopkins with a substitution mistake. 7 guys on the defensive end. That means you are offsides.
White, offsides, don't have a number, 31. 31's going to serve it. Offsides.
So because we're going to count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm not good at math, but that is 7 white jerseys on defense. The in-home. Melendez will serve the penalty. And Maryland, this is a prime opportunity for them to get into this game with an extra man tilt.
Maryland on the season, 15 for 36. That's 41.7%, a man up. The guys in the red looking to strike for the first time today in this Big Ten tournament semifinal. Koras feeds it. It gets away from Maltz. Ball down off of Maltz and out of bounds. Good pressure there from Zuluk. Force that turnover.
This defense for Johns Hopkins is so active, so physical, and Mazzone is the perfect complement to really the physical play of Smith and Zuluk.
Blue Jays gave it right back. Johns Hopkins now back to even strength. They're 6-on-6. Erksa works to the alley, hesitates. Picked up there by Hunter Juronsky. Braden Erksa off the swim move. Fidgets topside, looks for a cutter. It's Kyle Long skipping this to Koras. Koras is such a good cutter, especially on those front swings from behind the cage.
Great recovery by the Hopkins defense. And what Maryland's doing now, they're running Erksa in from the box while putting Murphy on attack. And that gives Erksa a short stick matchup.
This is Long with just over 30 seconds to shoot. Long feeds it inside, great pass! And there's Koras with a put away.
Koras is so good off ball. If you want to ball watch, number 22 in red is going to do damage. Late in the shot clock, Hopkins paying special attention to Erksa, Juronsky covering him. And Mazzone just gets caught upfield, as does Smith. Two of them gravitate toward one cutter, which I believe was Daniel Kelly. And that leaves Koras wide open on the backside. What a feed from Kyle Long.
Koras, who picked up a goal in the quarters, gets one here in the semis, gets Maryland and head coach John Tillman on the board. Back to the face-off dot where Naruski comes up with the draw over Weirman.
Now that's Maryland lacrosse. You make a mistake, Hopkins failed clear after killing the man-up opportunity. Maryland is going to bite you if you give them second chance possessions and you make silly mistakes. Hopkins up 3-0, playing really solid lacrosse in that first 5+ minutes. They've got to pull it back together and get back to sound fundamental ball.
Terrapins sitting at 9 victories this season. On the go, it's English throwing back for Melendez. The Terps have been in double figures in victories each of the last 18 seasons. That's a nation-long win streak in that regard. Johns Hopkins today, second seeded in the tournament. Melendez fires a bouncer wide of Rupel. The Blue Jays 11-4, earning a regular season share of the Big Ten title with Penn State. The Nittany Lions earlier today dismissed by Michigan. The Wolverines are in the championship match that comes your way Saturday at 5:30. A pass here that's going to get away and be a turnover back to Maryland. Short stick D midfielder Donovan Lacey going to the goal.
Boy, another careless turnover by Johns Hopkins. And hats off to the Michigan Wolverines. Predicted to finish 6th, last place in the preseason polls. And now, a couple days from now, they will vie for a championship.
Spanos off the hitch, picked up on the outside by Ince. Waiting for Siracusa to jog in. Spanos tied up by Ince, traded off to Zula. They'll change the field for Siracusa. Carson Brown was right in his face. Whittier gets the alley. Mazzone will jog him away. Mazzone so pleased with his Johns Hopkins lacrosse experience, coming in from Georgetown, the graduate transfer. Whittier circles it on around. This is Murphy. Whittier forgot something. Mazzone out there to drop the hammer on it. Shot clock's at 20. Siracusa off the split from left to right. Rolls back in, nothing there. Whittier. Forced below goal line, shot clock at 8. Whittier feeds, pumped by Maltz, stopped there by Marcial, who shuffled over nicely to make the save on Daniel Maltz.
Great stop. Maltz has added that long-distance shooting to his repertoire, but Hopkins again just sloppy, and credit Maryland for pressuring.
Makar, 2 times the Big Ten Defender of the Year, takes that miscue, the 6th turnover for the Blue Jays in the first 15 minutes. We're in the final 33 seconds of the opening frame.
Yeah, mess around and find out with this Maryland team. You want to keep turning the ball over. You don't want to execute. These guys will hang around, and they will find a way to beat you if you don't clean it up.
Kyle Long, second leading assist man for the Terps. Over the top, Koras fires again. He yanked that one wide of the goal. Just 12 seconds with which to work for Maryland. Long draws a bead on Mazzone. Over the top, nice catch, Murphy. Jumps inside, fires, Marcial the save. As time expires in the opening quarter. Marcial and the Blue Jays get 3 on the board. Melendez twice and McDermott. Koras for the Terps. It's 3-1 Johns Hopkins after 1.
Great save by Marcial. That was a nasty shot by Murphy.
We'll get you back for more on Big Ten Network. For the host of the Big Ten tournament to move through as a champion.
Yeah, I guys look at it. Maryland was the only one last year in 2022, a historic Maryland Terrapin team, wire-to-wire, undefeated, Big Ten champions, national champions. Johns Hopkins looked great early on, scoring the first 3 goals of this game. They look like world beaters coming in. Melendez, the confidence, then the beautiful shot right there. And then you see Casey McDermott just dusting his defender and finding the back of the cage. But then the Blue Jays got careless, they got sloppy, and they gave Maryland opportunity to get back into the game.
Just a few moments ago, Russell Melendez was working on his lacrosse stick, changing the head there. Melendez, who had a 6-goal game earlier this season against Penn State. First two that Mark just showed you. Koras is on the board for Maryland, stemming the tide, and then Luke Weirman wins the draw. Weirman, one of the best face-off X-Men in the country.
And Weirman won that face-off, but then got drilled as he gave the ball away. Borderline, the official didn't throw his flag, could have, and I wouldn't have argued with it, but they're looking to inflict a little bit of punishment on number 52 in red.
Depending upon who you listen to, it's all-time meeting number 126 or 119 in this fabulous rivalry. Marcille being heavily ridden on the end line there by Weirman. And the call will give possession to the University of Maryland.
Marcille getting up gives Weirman the business from behind, and the officials are allowing it. Typically in a Maryland Hopkins game, with the rules, it's not like the old days, but you would get people to call things early and often to keep it under control, and right now the officials are letting a couple things slide. You
don't want it to be too much of a powder keg before too long, as Kyle Long gets to the alley against Zuluk. Nice pass there, short angle, score! Daniel Kelly.
Things are physical here at Homewood Field. Tim Marcille, I'm not sure why he tried this on the clear, but he tries to geek it through Weirman. And watch when he gets up. Shoves him back down to the turf, letting him know he's there. No call by the official. And then off ball again. Maryland is not going to really beat Hopkins one-on-one or on ball tonight. Off ball, though, they're dangerous and very, very good. Nice job by Kyle Long, a hesitation cut by Daniel Kelly. His defender, Brett Martin, is flat-footed. Kelly finds the back of the cage.
Kelly continuing his point-scoring streak as Weirman gets the draw from Naruski and goes to goal and snapped it high, and then he paid for it as Weirman was decked again. Daniel Kelly points in 16 straight, goals in all 14 this season for Maryland. Erksa jogs it in off the end line. Murphy sharing it with Spanos, talented sophomore from Pottstown, PA. Cody Ince is with him, the short stick defensive midfielder. Spanos looking over top at 6'5". He is a handful to cover.
Big body.
Kelly inside didn't make that catch. Smith was stuck to him like glue, and Carson Brown comes away for the Blue Jays.
So Hopkins mixing and matching a little bit with their matchup on Kelly. Sometimes they're shorting him. That time Smith is able to dislodge the ball from the talented Maryland shooter. But this is where Hopkins just has to button things up. Good defensive stop, cause the turnover, stop giving the ball away with careless play and mental mistakes, and get back into a groove.
We mentioned Maryland's injured defenders, Zapatello and Geppert, as Evans works in against Lacey. Hopkins playing without long stick midfielder Patrick Deans. Coach Milliman is hoping for him by next week at NCAA tournament time. Swinging on around for Melendez, who loves to attack from the top of the formation. Working against Makar. Nice catch by Evans. Grimes on the outside, goals in 7 straight against Nick Red, who we see carrying a long stick today. Red is normally a short stick defensive midfielder. Woo! Peshko is hammered on his way to the cage. He just missed it at the end of the line.
Referees are being consistent. I thought that hit was a little late, potentially high. I'm not sold on losing the helmet. Now we seem to have lost it right there. I thought that was a little late. When helmets go flying off these days, it's not the end of the world because these guys wear them so loose, but I just thought that was a step or two late. But the officials are being consistent both ways, are allowing some extracurriculars to go.
As the shot clock expires, Maryland takes possession. We hit the 3-minute mark of quarter 2. in a game that has a combined 14 turnovers already. Coach Milliman would like to see his Blue Jays tidy up a little bit. Same for John Tillman on the Maryland sideline.
Hopkins started out incredibly prolific. They've gotten sloppy, and Maryland has slowly but surely crept back into this game.
No troubles on the clear there for the Terps. They lead the nation in successful clearing. They're better than 93% cover to cover this season. Koras moving in against Martin, who's been very, very good for the Blue Jays. Long thought about it, shaded by Mazzone. Around the Trader moving pick. That'll give the ball to Johns Hopkins.
Yeah, Trader just leaned a little bit into that pick. Good call by the officials.
Degnon, an everyday goal scorer for the Blue Jays. There's a flag down against Maryland.
Offsides as Daniel Kelly, the attackman, went down. And now they're offsides again. Referees didn't see it. But a man-up opportunity coming Hopkins' way should they not score on this sequence.
Dylan Bauer has the ball briefly, sharing it with Melendez, and then Matt Collison. That pass will get away, and Johns Hopkins will go to extra man.
Officials are conferring just to make sure that they only have one offsides and not two.
We have red, 4-5, offsides, 30 seconds.
So it's just one offsides, shot clock reset. Hopkins will have a man-up opportunity for up to 30 seconds.
John Tillman sending in John Geppert. Geppert's going to play as part of the man-down unit. We mentioned that he was limited this week and somewhat questionable today, but Maryland's number 20 protecting freshman netminder Brian Ruppel here, a man down.
And the offsides was on Daniel Kelly, number 45 in red. He remained on the field, so the officials will make sure that he comes off so they can commence play. But give Maryland a lot of credit. Against Rutgers minus Apatello, Schaller did a nice job. The team defense supported him, and thus far today, they're not missing a beat without Ajax Apatello.
Blue Jays are over 43% in their last 11 games, a man up. Collison from the top. Change the formation, Degnon. Chavette. Bring it this way. Angelus sightseeing on the outside. Chavette will survey. Choosing this rip from Collison. A buzz bomb to the corner.
Goodness gracious. Matt Collison with a dart to the upper 90. This is Torrey Casemeyer-esque taught shooting, got skills. Look at him step in, pick his spot, set his feet, high to high, and he just tattoos the upper 90. That is straight heat coming from number 16 in white. What a shot.
Freshman from north of the border, Scarborough, Ontario. Since 1980, only 5 Hopkins freshman midfielders with 20 or more goals. Rabel, Kimmel, Tinney, and the great Del Dressel on the board.
4-time first-team All-American.
Dressel doing tremendous damage all 4 of his years. All-American seasons here at Homewood, with the Blue Jays now on top by 2, 5 minutes into quarter 2.
And Collison, first of all, that shot reminiscent of Ryan Brown, another terrific Hopkins All-American. But those 4 other middies that you mentioned in addition to Collison, Joe, first-team All-Americans, all of them.
Degnon between defenders, hammered there by Burles. Help came from Schaller. The officials say they heard the timeout called by the Blue Jays. So we'll take it with them with 9 minutes and 42 seconds to go in the opening half. It's Maryland and it's Hopkins, and you expect it to be physical. Hard-nosed lacrosse here at Homewood on Big Ten Network.
With cancer a few weeks back, and the support that Eloise and her family have experienced from this Maryland Terrapin team. I know the family personally, had the opportunity to coach her young brother, Mac, a tremendous high school player, All-State in Maryland, and then her sister, Shay, Loyola University star, and then Maisie will be a Maryland Terrapin next year. So our hearts go out to the Clevenger family. And Maryland-Rutgers women, a replay of last year's Big Ten championship game. They meet in the semifinals. Should be a great one.
Watch out for Maren Hartshorn, who scored 5 times against the Terps in the last meeting. We're enjoying Big Ten men's lacrosse tournament semifinal action. The Terrapins all red against the Blue Jays. It's a 4-2 Johns Hopkins advantage on the strength of an extra man goal from Matt Collison. Terps with the ball. Erksa calmly in his cross, waiting to team up with Whittier. Siracusa, who had an assist against Hopkins in the first meeting. A Blue Jays win in College Park. Siracusa, nifty move, fires, scores!
The second midfield unit of Spanos, Siracusa, and Whittier saved Maryland's bacon on the road against Ohio State. They have been great in other games as well. It's almost like a 1A, 1B when it comes to the Maryland midfield. But look at this little shake and watch how close his hands are to his body. Zach Whittier doesn't really extend his arms a whole lot, and I think that crossed Tim Marseille up. Look at that short little stretch and such velocity for such a short release point. Zach Whittier with a pretty goal.
Jeff and Tammy Siracusa can be very proud of their baby boy. Back on the board again, goals in 3 of his last 5, and off the draw. The possession belongs to the Blue Jays. Maryland back within 1.
Yeah, if you're Johns Hopkins, I mean, I don't think it was going to happen, but you had Maryland down 3-0. Now the Terps have been opportunistic. They've taken advantage of some Maryland miscues. Hopkins is in a dogfight, which you wouldn't expect anything less from this rivalry, but if you're the Blue Jays, you got to get back at that momentum that you had in the first 5 minutes of this game.
A sun-splash day here at Homewood Field. Johns Hopkins has won 6 of 8 on home turf this season. The winner of this one gets Michigan in Saturday's Big Ten tournament final. On the move, snapped high there. That was McDermott off the invert, backed up by Angelus. Angelus covered up by Maryland's Will Schaller, playing a close defense with the injury to the All-American Ajax Zapatello. Grimes gets it in gear against McDonald. Brendan Grimes playing the outside. Melendez, who had the first 2 tallies today, now has Makar affixed to him. Bulldozing in, McDermott's pass into the teeth of the Maryland defense. Bringing on around Melendez, that's fought off by Rupel. And the diving netminder gets possession. Closest to the ball, where and when it leaves the surface on a shot, gets the possession back for Maryland.
Incredible handle by Brendan Grimes, but no backup for Johns Hopkins. The Blue Jays go 8 middies deep. And I don't think throughout this first quarter and a half of action, they've run the same 3 midfielders out on the same line. So they're really mixing and matching, and it might be leading to the Johns Hopkins offense being a little discombobulated. You know, I understand you want to cross up the competition, but run some guys that are used to playing with one another in game action.
Siracusa, the Georgia native, waiting for Zach Whittier. Whittier works to the outside. Mazzone is there with him. Mazzone so crafty with those checks. Spanos powering his way in. Murphy fires, sent it wide of Marseille, who was razor sharp in the opening quarter. Netminder barking from his cage, getting his defenders set. 6.5 minutes left in this first half. Erksa quiet to this point. Smith ran right through a pick. Ow, that hurt. Siracusa on the go through the double team. Raposo stays at his hip, fires. Blocked away. Raposo knocked down. Stepping in. It's Erksa turning the corner. Bouncer fended off by Marseille.
4 seconds, 4 seconds.
On the line. They're going to give the possession to Johns Hopkins.
Yeah, Kelly playing the ball from out of bounds. No flag on that pick because I think the referee surmised that Smith didn't see it coming, so he intentionally didn't run through it. Great pick set, way to take the hit, but again, consistency. These officials are allowing these players to be incredibly physical. Good defensive stand for the Blue Jays. That would have been a shot clock violation. Only 2 seconds left and it was turned over.
Here's Cam Chavette against Dante Trader. Ball back behind for Angelus off the split dodge against Schaller. Degnon thought about it. He's not afraid to pull the trigger from deep, nor is this man. Collison on the move, working it against Kohler. Switch the field for Dylan Bauer, 7th leading scorer for the Blue Jays, marked by red. Sharing the ball, Johns Hopkins finds Degnon against the shorty. Fires off the outside, that's Rupel there on the angle in goal. Trader slow to get back to his feet.
Rupel trying to argue that he didn't touch it, that it hit the side of the cage. Referee says no dice. Shot clock reset for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays.
As we leak below 5 minutes to play in this first half, Hopkins on the lead thanks to a goal from Collison. Bauer storming into his dodge against red. The pass there, Degnon took his eyes off of it to the sidelines and back over to Maryland.
I think this game is an important. Yeah, it looked like it hit the backside of Dante Trader, so Brian Rupel has an argument there. It didn't hit the side of the cage, it hit off the tuchus of Dante Trader, who was trying to block the shot or get out of the way of it, whatever way you want to spin it. But Hopkins got the reset, but it didn't matter because they just turned the ball over, and now Maryland will look to tie this thing up.
Blue Jays with 10 turnovers in the first half, existing for another 4-10. A low-scoring first half of play between these two. Anything but in the first semifinal between Michigan and Penn State. Nittany Lions had the lead 10-8 at the halftime break. Wound up losing 17-15 to the Wolverines. Murphy from deep. Handled with relative ease by Marcille.
Marcille seeing the ball well, and a clean save. That was a shot that had a lot of velocity from Owen Murphy.
Marcille with 5 saves in this one. He had 6 in the win against Maryland. Rupel bends to make that stop there on Peshko. The long rebound comes up for Maykaw. On the exchange to Schaller. Schaller looking to run. Long finds Brennan. Brennan off the top of his cross. Erksa, bounce shot, score! Braden Erksa.
Erksa gets his name in the scoring column. Rupel with the save on the other end, and he settled down. There's something about first-time goaltenders at Hopkins. The gremlins of Homewood can affect you, but Rupel has settled down. Slow break. Brennan drops it, no problem. The freshman picks it up. He roofs it. High bouncer. Nestles under the crossbar, and Maryland has tied the game at 4.
The officials awarding Luke Weirman the ball off the ensuing faceoff. Chance for Maryland to grab a lead now for the first time today. Rupel, we mentioned the freshman. He's just the 3rd freshman to start in goal for Maryland since 1993.
Shot clock issues. Officials signaling the push-up sign, which means 80 seconds. And we play.
And that's what Maryland gets. 3 minutes left in this opening half. Siracusa on the job now for the Terps. Maryland 3rd seeded. Johns Hopkins the 2nd seed in the Big Ten tournament. Whittier picked up by Zuluk, captain for the Blue Jays. Siracusa will wind it again for Erksa. Erksa scored 4 times against Johns Hopkins in the loss 12 days ago on just 5 shots. Siracusa with some shake and bake into the alley. Erksa keeps it hot. Murphy lets it fly. Marcille has seen that a time or 2. Rebound, score! Whittier! It's 3 unanswered for Maryland.
The save on Murphy a few minutes ago was so impressive because it was clean. This time, it pops out. And rebound goals and rebounds in lacrosse are a killer. Look at Murphy. I love his shooting stroke. And there, a check down. Marcil actually went for the ball. I think in that situation, you don't stray from your crease. You let your defense check down. Zulik was coming in. Kelly's a left-handed player. I don't think he was going to be able to pick it up, turn, or backhand it in. Marcil vacates the crease. Whittier picks it up. Open net goal.
That was a really good first stop, but with so much power, Marcil not able to corral that in his cross. Keepers always talk about having the soft hands and trying to just nestle those outside shots. That wasn't that far outside, and it was coming better than 90 miles an hour.
If Marcial's going to try to get that ground ball, I thought he should have come out with a big check down to clamp it and pull it back into his crease by keeping a toe in the crease. He doesn't do that. Ball pops around. Whittier is Johnny on the spot. He redirects it into the back of the net.
Maryland on its first lead at 5-4. Outscoring Johns Hopkins 4-1 in this second quarter. Luke Weirman improving at the face-off dot. Weirman now better than 600 career face-off wins.
Guy's a workhorse. He wants to be out there for every single face-off. True warrior.
Kyle Long on the go. Long sends a bouncer to Marcil. He vacuumed that up. Marcial's long clearing effort right on the button to Russell Melendez in the final 100 seconds of this first half.
I felt like Kyle Long kind of short-armed that a little bit. Easy save from Marcil. Good clearing pass. Hopkins will take the timeout.
It wasn't the usual release from Long.
No, and I know earlier we saw Siracusa with that kind of T-Rex release, a short arm, but it still had pepper on it. That was
tournament meeting between these two. Maryland's won the last two. Series deadlocked at 2 apiece.
Incredible history for both of these programs, but being a Johns Hopkins alum and having the privilege to play lacrosse at Johns Hopkins University, I got to play in 4 Hopkins Maryland games, and back then we didn't really understand the rivalry because Syracuse has come off 3 straight national championships. North Carolina was in the Final Four every year. Princeton was winning national championships, but as I get older, I just appreciate more and more not only the rivalry, but all the amazing players that have come through for both programs. It's almost like you have to stop and really smell the roses in that regard. I mean, we just talked about Del Dressel earlier. The fact that I consider Del to be a friend is just, it's amazing the relationships you make in these two programs.
To the live action in the final 80 seconds of the opening half. Melendez on the job here. Working against Trader, who trades him off to Red. Roll dodge Degnon, he sailed that one high. 1:13 to go, 46 seconds on the shot clock as Rupel gets his defenders set. Blue Jays swivel right back into action. It's Angelus, who is such a clever playmaker. Great speed and vision. Melendez off his back foot. Rupel finds that. Maryland can have the final possession of the half if they choose. Trader legging it across the midfield line.
Yeah, Melendez has different release points, but off your back foot, falling away from the goal against Brian Rupel with no screen, that was a tough proposition. Rupel gobbles that up, and now Maryland may have the last opportunity of the first half.
Maryland winners of 4 Big Ten tournament titles. Michigan waiting in the wings, waiting for Saturday's finale. Final 30 seconds of the half. Kyle Long staggered on the outside by Mazzone. Long picks up speed, finds Koras, fine save by Marcil. Rebound loose inside, quick stick score! Erksa.
Maryland is taking care of the ball here in the second quarter. You're going to see a little confusion as Mazzone plays soft on Kyle Long to avoid the pick by Dante Trader. But the unnecessary switch right there, it really doesn't have an effect too much on the play. But then Mazzone gets caught in no man's land, and he's not guarding anyone. And there's Erksa, uncovered, unfettered, wide open. Kelly finds him, and the Terps go up by a pair.
Naruski against Weirman on this draw. We have not seen Tyler Dunn to this point. Dunn, who gave Weirman a lot of troubles in the last meeting between these two. Naruski comes up with this face-off. Final 7 seconds of the quarter. Melendez.
He doesn't
encouraged
recognize.
to go to goal now. He didn't realize it. Floated inside. And this first half comes to its conclusion.
You got to be aware. You have to be aware. Game awareness, situation knowledge. Melendez gets that ball and acts like they've got all the time in the world. Man, that just kind of sums up the last, 25 minutes of the first half for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. Melendez just hanging out. Hey, let's set it up. Let's go to goal. Hey, come on, Russell, let's go. We got, time's a waste, and Degnon almost corrals it and gets an opportunity, but
Over the Blue Jays in the rivalry game here from Homewood Field. Before we start the third quarter, Maryland head coach John Tillman joins us. And Coach, what was the change in your team offensively after falling behind 3-0?
I just thought we settled down a little bit, just played with a little bit more poise, and I thought we were just scrapping out there. I think that hustling and scrapping is really the best thing we've done so far. We haven't been very clean.
30 minutes away, Coach, from another appearance at a Big Ten championship game. What does Maryland have to do to get to Saturday?
Just guys got to work together. We're down a bunch of guys. I'm proud of our guys. They're fighting like crazy. We got a lot of guys stepping up, so I'm proud of them for that. We got to stick together. 7 guys playing as one on the defensive end, and offensively just make sure everybody is dangerous. We're sharing the ball, find the open man, and finish our shots when we get them.
John, we appreciate your making time for us. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Coach gets back to work. It's the Terrapins and the Blue Jays. 6-4 for Maryland when we begin this third quarter. The Terps this season 7-1 when leading at the half. The only time they've lost was 12 days ago to these Blue Jays, who bested them at CQ Stadium. Procedure off the start of the second half draw against Weirman gives possession to Johns Hopkins in white.
Yeah, and I think both of these teams are in the NCAA tournament. I think they are locks. Hopkins, good metrics, quality wins, but a loss here, does that cost them a seed? I think that they're still in line for a seed. Maryland loses this game, I think they're off the seed line, but if they win, they will host a first-round NCAA tournament game. I'm pretty confident.
And I'm sure you feel that Penn State is a lock for the tournament as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I said that earlier in the game, in the first game. Penn State has absolutely earned their way into the NCAA tournament. It's just a matter, will they be a seed or not?
Despite falling today, the Nittany Lions beaten by Michigan, so Michigan gets the winner of this one. Back behind the cage and ready to go, it's Brendan Grimes off the invert. Work it to the inside. Bauer flexing it for Angelus. Angelus is picked up by Will Schaller, who's been with him throughout the day. Schaller subbing in for the injured Ajax Zapatello. Collison working in, final 10 seconds on the shot clock. He's triple teamed, still keeps it in his cross. Draws a flag, in fact, over the top. Score! Grimes after the brilliant work from Collison.
Disaster averted due to the strength and toughness of Matt Collison. Either he held the ball too long or Brendan Grimes didn't get out of the way, but you got to flag down and credit Collison for finding Grimes and that little hop step. I love that little hop step from Brendan Grimes. When he sets his feet and gets a clean look on cage, watch out. Here comes the heat. Bring the pain, high to high. Hopkins with a much-needed marker to start the second half.
Turned out to be a buzzer beater there, too, with just 2 seconds left on the shot clock. 6-5 Terps. And back to the face-off. Erksa win for Weirman as he flips that one out. Under control for Jack McDonald. McDonald getting a lot of playing time today with John Geppert ailing. We've seen the star long stick midfielder for Maryland only sparingly on man-down situations to this point in the game.
Great ground ball pickup by McDonald. Fighting through that check from Alex Mazzone. That is no easy task. Maryland now back on the offense. A little surprised that we haven't seen Tyler Dunn for Johns Hopkins face-off yet due to the success that he had a couple weeks or about 10 days ago. But Naruski did have success in that first half, winning 7 out of 12.
Mark, isn't it the time of the year, though, where everybody's dealing with some sort of a nagging injury? Perhaps that's the case with Dunn.
Everybody's banged up, and I take it back to the hard knocks with the Detroit Lions when Dan Campbell got his guys together in July for training camp. He goes, guys, take note of how you feel right now. This is going to be the best you're going to feel for the next 5 months.
Brennan inverted against Juranski. Jack Brennan. Feed it back behind. Koras, then Murphy in tight. He scores. Pretty passing combination.
Luke Murphy has been taking some good shots. He looks healthy from an ankle injury that he suffered about 6 weeks ago. He's moving well, and look at this beautiful cut. As the ball gets behind the cage, you wait for your defenders to turn their head, and that's exactly what Murphy does. And look at the placement of this shot. Quick flick of the wrist, beautifully roofed, and Maryland is back up by 2.
Murphy had 3 points in the quarterfinal win over Rutgers. He has tallies in 9 of his 14 games this season. Naruski came away with a draw, didn't come up with possession, however. Schaller does for the Terps, and looking to run. Working in, it's Alex Wicks. Wicks on the feed fast break. Murphy took his eyes off it there, and now he'll just chill out.
Luke Weirman knows how to play from behind when he loses a face-off, and that's exactly what he did. Disrupted Naruski's exit. Little help from the wing. Creates the ground ball. Maryland, that'll go down as a face-off win for Naruski, but really it's a loss in the scheme of things as Maryland gets the possession.
Earlier today, Michigan's Rowlett and Wheatfield combination put on a clinic at the face-off dot. Murphy picked up on the perimeter by Kaufman. Kaufman makes the takeaway and strip. 8th turnover against the Terps. Kaufman, who tallied on this surface against Ohio State. Mazzone's running. Trailer. Score! Raposo!
That is a thing of beauty. Unselfish, smart, calculated. Nick Kaufman, him and Carson Brown have had to share the long stick midfield duties due to the injury of Patrick Deans. Physical play, Murphy loses his feet, good no call. Kaufman's able to get it out to Mazzone, and watch Mazzone suck this defense towards him. Draws 2 red jerseys, the one more from Degnon, and look at the confidence from Jakson Raposo. High to high with the trail, juice goal for the Blue Jays.
Raposo, earlier season tallies against Rutgers and Virginia. That's the 16th goal this season that Johns Hopkins has received from non-offensive personnel. Spanos looking to get it right back now in this 7-6 lead for Maryland in the All-Red. Weirman will exit. Whittier subs in for him. Four minutes gone by in the third. Another one-goal game between these two arch rivals. Siracusa takes it on the run. Forced away there by Carson Brown. Spanos is not in any hurry. He'll change the field for Whittier.
Maryland won the substitution game. Great recovery by Hopkins to cover up the backside and down low, not to give the Terps a transition look.
Erksa marked by Brett Martin. Siracusa, no room for the step down there. Zuluk was in his hands. Shot clock's at 15. Whittier ready to go against Juranski. Forced him below goal line, extended feed. Siracusa, no shooting room there. 6 seconds left on the shot clock. Whittier feeds. Spanos fires and scores!
Maryland is content going deep into the shot clock. The patience and really the maturity not to take the first shot, but the best shot. They continue to work this Hopkins defense. Spanos, there he is in the middle of your screen, number 7. Hopkins just loses him. Ball watching once again by the Blue Jays. Very similar to the Owen Murphy goal a couple minutes ago. He just cuts down the backside, and the bench erupts in joy.
Sidelines fired up there. John Tillman, the head coach, was saying, we want to be better, deeper into the possessions in this meeting with Johns Hopkins. There was a perfect example. Naruski on his way, knocked aside by the netminder Rupel. Ryan Rupel with the stop. He had 8 of them against Johns Hopkins in the losing effort. Last time out, he's got 5 and counting today. Protecting a 2-goal lead for the Terps.
Makar has played like a man possessed today as well in front of Brian Rupel. He was beat by Melendez for that game winner. I can just picture that Michael Jordan from The Last Dance. And I took that personally. I could see Makar saying that this week. That's why he has upped his game.
Working in, quick pass. Degnon fires and scores! Mr. Automatic, Garrett Degnon, goals in 28 straight.
Came to Johns Hopkins as a midfielder and really a diamond in the rough for then Coach Dave Petramala and Bobby Benson and Billy Dwan, his staff. Missed a couple of summers due to illness and other things on the recruiting trail, so no one really knew who the big man from DeMatha was. But he's played great lacrosse. He's down on attack now, and if he does that, frequently finding soft spots in the defense with his arms free and his feet set, that is the end result.
These two met in last year's Big Ten tournament semifinals. Maryland prevailed, but Degnon scored 4 times. He has 1 today. He has Johns Hopkins back within 1 and with possession.
What a gorgeous day here at Homewood Field. Some early happy hour lacrosse. We were treated to really a track meet in the first meeting between Penn State and Michigan. Congratulations, Wolverines win, and now we've got a healthy crowd in Homewood Field. Round 2 of the rivalry. That's what conference play allows Hopkins and Maryland to meet more than once a year.
Spectators enjoying the nice weather and the top-level lacrosse, included among them new Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti is in the house. Collison has the ball, measured there by Trader. Long drive, Rupel crossed over to make the save on that sizzler. Up to a half a dozen stops for Rupel as Schaller looks to clear.
Collison trying to catch Rupel off guard. Really didn't hide that very well. Rupel read it all the way, makes the clean save. So a little bad judgment, I would call that, by Matt Collison to let that thing go and Rupel not fooled.
Jack Koras with the ball. He was so hot early in the season for Maryland. He has 5 hat tricks this year. Tremendous 4-goal game against Virginia in an overtime win over the Cavaliers. Brennan getting a screen set by Kelly, who was bowled over. Brennan off the invert against Juronsky, looking for a passing lane. Koras is next, picked up by Smith. Erksa under control against the shorty. Erksa turns, fires. Marcille got a whisker of that, deflecting it away. And the speed and hustle there from Zulik gives Johns Hopkins the ball.
Tough save by Marcille. That little hesitation and hitch. Tried to cross him up, but he's stuck with it. Goes off the top of his head of his goalie stick. Zulik runs it out. Now you got Marcille pumping his bench up, saying, let's go.
Marcille, a save percentage of 51 during the campaign. McDermott playing a little hide and seek there against Gibbons. Blue Jays will settle in on the dead run. Here comes English for Angelus, and then Melendez. He'll hitch. Evans once more for Angelus. Schaller's done a good job. John Tillman says that youngster, strong as an ox. Leg strength is fabulous. He's going to be a great player. 27 in the red.
Tree trunk legs is the description that he used.
On the go. It's Angelus, this time picked up by Burlace. On a throwback with Evans, shot clock reaches 20. Degnon from the top. He'll split from left to right. Gibbons is there with him. So too is Red. Degnon fires, and Rupel has that in his cross.
Rupel seeing the ball well here in the second half. That's a nasty offering by Degnon. I don't think he got everything behind it as the double came quickly.
Lacey joining here. Will settle it up for Spanos. Time continues to tick. 6 minutes to go in the third. Maryland on top by 1. Would you have expected anything else? 12 days ago, a 12-11 nail-biter won by the visiting team, then the Blue Jays in College Park.
I think that win showed Hopkins they can believe. They can compete with Maryland, hang with Maryland, beat them on their home field.
Hesitation to move. Whittier scores! Zach Whittier with some fancy footwork.
This game continues to be physical, and Maryland wants a late hit, but they haven't called it all game, and the officials are being consistent. Zach Whittier this time, excellent first step. Look at the burst. Whoop. Little start-stop, goes by, and then gets drilled by Zulik. Maybe a little acting when you watch the replay. But you go inside, you're going to pay the price. Maryland has regrouped and taken some Hopkins punches, and they're still kicking.
The Big Ten Lacrosse Tournament brought to you by Gatorade and by Discover, the official credit card of the Big Ten. Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, Brett Makar, has been a busy boy again today. He's now a 2-time winner of that award and a 5-year starter for the Terps, wearing their #1 jersey of honor.
Yeah, and normally goes to an offensive player, but Makar telling us that when you have guys like Jared Bernhardt and Logan Wisnauskas coming to you saying you've earned it, we want you to wear the #1, he says you do not say no. Never been much of a numbers guy, was assigned a number when he arrived at Maryland, didn't really care, switched to 43 at the behest of the coaching staff, but he signifies what that #1 jersey means, be the best, and he certainly is one of the best at his position in the country.
Johns Hopkins has the ball. That's Jack Hawley, the captain, the wing specialist, an Energizer bunny for this Johns Hopkins squad. He'll check out. Jonathan Peshko has possession with Collison and Grimes. Coach Milliman said he would run 8 midfielders deep at the offensive end, and true to his word today, he's kept Maryland busy with a lot of fresh legs. It is the Terps on top by 2. The outset, it was Johns Hopkins jumping to a 3-0 lead, but the Terrapins have steadied themselves and recovered nicely.
This is a man who's been really quiet. Number 23 in white, Jacob Angelus. He needs to get into the mix here. It's a guy who came alive in the second half in College Park about 10 days ago.
He had a hat trick in that game in the win. Ball down, McDonald puts pressure on Grimes. There's Schaller out of the pack, picking up the ground ball and running to safety.
If you're Johns Hopkins, you got to defend your home turf. Not to look too far ahead, but they do not want the Maryland Terrapins to win this game, and they have to watch as the Terps and the Wolverines compete for a championship this Saturday on their home turf. Hopkins is going to have to dig deep, clean some things up, and respond to a Maryland team that's proven to be incredibly resilient.
Murphy off the big face dodge. Let's it go. He scores!
Murphy from Medfield, Massachusetts, via Avon Old Farms. Look at the face dodge. Murphy looks very comfortable here at Homewood Field. The face dodge and then the slipper. The slipper past Tim Marseille. So smooth. Far side. Maryland rolling heavy right now.
Largest lead on the day for the Terps now, with just over 4 minutes to go in the third, and Weirman gets the draw away from Naruski. Naruski has handled himself very, very well today against Weirman. Luke's numbers all time straight up against Johns Hopkins are nowhere near where he normally resides, in the upper 60% winning percentile. He gets that one though, and now a chance for Maryland to add some layers to this lead.
And he just seems to be heating up and getting more comfortable. He's won a couple through his legs out to his wings very cleanly here in the third quarter.
Murphy will chase this down. Tail end of quarter 3. It's in the cross of Erksa. Erksa gets necktied by Zula. No call from the officials. Brennan working in against Raposo. Raposo, who has a third quarter goal for the Blue Jays. Nice catch there by Koras. Looking inside, deflected away by Smith. And picked up off of the turf by the Blue Jays long stick defender Nick Kaufman.
Another nice play by Kaufman. First time grounder, gets out of pressure, gets it, run to green, is what you tell young players. Gets in that open space. Kaufman has played very, very well, and that's a much needed turnover for this Hopkins offense.
Whistle stops play. Substitutions racing to the sideline for both sides as the officials confirm. Referees today, Tim Czechia, Mike McCloskey, and Jason McGinn. Peter Milliman awaiting the words of the officials. Asking for the shot clock to be repositioned, set.
For a minute there, I thought we were going to have another glove check.
Maryland in double figures. Normally so tough when they do produce this many goals. McDermott against Gibbons. Find the open man. Rupel makes a save there on Degnon. Then outlets perfectly for Schaller into the fast break 4-on-3. Murphy fires, scores! Owen Murphy has the hot hand against his former mates.
Murphy has come to play. He was denied a couple times in the first half, but he has been in fuego here in the third quarter. Brian Rupel standing tall. The Maryland goaltender with his 9th save. And it's not just a save. Look him drop it in the basket to Will Schaller on the break. And Murphy knew he was going to let that bad boy go right when Schaller got it in his stick. Steps through, whips it low. Murphy, second consecutive tally.
Schaller, the 4-0 student, sets up Murphy for the hat trick. His third goal of the game. Maryland has had a player record a hat trick in 70 of the last 71. Ball loose. Officials awarding possession to Johns Hopkins.
That left foot of Owen Murphy stepped on the restraining line since there was no possession called by the officials. That is considered leaving the box early.
Maryland was 5-1 in true road games this season. As we move towards the final 2 minutes of the third quarter, it's the Terps in Baltimore, not far from their home in College Park, on the lead by 4. McDermott looking to change that script with the Russell Melendez. Melendez is stalked by Makar. Lacey hedging out, forcing Degnon down low. McDermott crossing over against Kohler. English feed it on through. Degnon loves his left. Face dodgers pretty. He scores! Degnon on the bouncer.
Brian Rupel's father, Steve Rupel, is a lacrosse official. Rupel trying to sell that it didn't cross the goal line. No dice, young man. What a beautiful look from Brooks English. Watch him dodge with authority, and he threads that to Garrett Degnon. And then Garrett Degnon, the face dodge. Old school. Whoop. Goes right by the poor approach by number 18 in red, Donovan Lacey, and then the high bouncer kisses post to post and scores.
12 multi-goal games for Degnon this season. He's been at the top of the Big Ten goal scoring list all season long. Alex Wicks has possession for Maryland with 80 seconds to go in the frame. Erksa has been held in check today by Scott Smith, the second team All Big Ten defender. Erksa just one game after setting the Maryland freshman record for assists in a single contest. He had 6 against Rutgers in the quarters.
Well, and how about this Maryland offense that has really leaned on Erksa over the last few weeks? He's been held in check today, and they've still put up 11 goals. They were down 3-0 early. That's a good sign for Terrapin Nation.
30 seconds in the shot clock, 39 in the quarter. Whittier will take it for a ride against Juronsky. Whittier already with a pair of markers today. 25 in the quarter, 15 on the shot clock. Whittier on the move, kick it out, Siracusa fires, he scores! From deep.
Maryland is humming, and we are seeing them play with a high level of confidence and a high level of execution. Marcio has struggled this half. Great look, the step down. Siracusa paints the corner. Beautiful look from Whittier. And Marcio not happy with himself letting that one in. Little windshield wiper action, tapping his helmet saying, come on, 10, you're better than that.
2-goal performance from Siracusa, 4-goal lead for Maryland. Win of the draw, Naruski going right to the cooker, flicks it on. Long drive, Raposo, as a flag settles down on the turf with 13.8 to play.
Looked like that was something behind the play that the official saw. He's going to call an interference against Maryland, and it looks like the guilty party will be number 5 in red, Dante Schrader.
Red, number 5 red, interference, 30-second technical foul.
Naruski, the little flip. Then he's going to just hit Naruski late. Number 5, Dante Schrader did. That's the interference call, and Hopkins will. Looks like they're going to hold the ball and have a man-up opportunity with no face-off to begin the fourth quarter.
Throughout the season, Maryland, the least penalized team in the Big Ten. Going to start the fourth, though, a man down. 6 goals in the frame for Maryland, outscoring Johns Hopkins and taking control by 4.
For Penn State, can Michigan break into the club and win their first ever Big Ten tournament title?
There were 10 goals on the board in that third quarter alone, half a dozen of them belonging to Maryland. As a result, they have the lead by 4 with 15 minutes to go. Blue Jays a very important extra man opportunity to start the fourth. Degnon. They circle it up. Angelus for Degnon once more. Change the formation. Chavette over the top, knocked down there by Geppert. Geppert, who has played sparingly and to my eye only on man down, did the job there with the active stick on the interior.
And again, Hopkins making a tweak to their man up. Chavette and Marquise playing
Marquis,
today instead of Peshko and Grimes. I don't get it. You got a guy who hasn't played since February, Marquis, and Chavette has been injured all year. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to roll out a brand new EMO in the conference semifinals.
Brennan has possession of the ball for Maryland now. 1 minute deep into the fourth. Long, drawing the attention of Kaufman. Brennan, who has points in 7 of 9 overall, but no goals in his last 4 games. Maneuvers in, bouncer off the face mask of Marcio. He made that tough stop. Ball still down, out of the pack. Koras and Erksa man ball, and it comes up Maryland. Unsettled there, great stick again by Kaufman. Lanky defender, always in the passing lanes. Erksa comes up with another ground ball for Maryland.
And Koras showing great toughness. Saved the ball on the end line, and he ate a body check by Zulik on the ensuing ground ball. Koras showing why he is a tough pound-for-pound midfielder out of Loyola Blakefield, just a few miles from here in Towson, Maryland. And right now, everything going Maryland's way. Second chance possession for the Terps.
The rivalry in college lacrosse. Maryland and Johns Hopkins. Blue Jays ended a 5-game losing skid at Maryland's expense just 12 days ago in College Park. Ball down here, comes up scooping again for Spanos.
It's getting physical.
Long closing. One of the nicest assists on the day belonging to Kyle Long, who's second best when it comes to helpers for the Terps now that Erksa is in town. Long will invert the midfielder below goal line against Brett Martin.
Koras getting a breather with this first midfield unit, and it's Siracusa replacing him.
This is Siracusa here. Has a couple goals today, almost 3 minutes into the fourth. Spanos wants it against Kaufman into the alley. Below goal line on the dive, he scores! They're going to say a crease violation, no goal. No goal, crease violation against Spanos. You see his reaction to the sideline after he went Superman to the crease.
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Eric Spanos. But the referee was pointing at the goal mouth. We'll have to take a look at the replay, but if any part of your body lands in the goal mouth, touches the goal mouth, and you are not fouled or put into the goal mouth illegally, it is no score.
Bottom of the hour now on Big Ten Network. This one shaping up to be another beauty between Maryland and Johns Hopkins. The Blue Jays trying to trim the lead to 3. This offensive trip. Melendez against Makar. Makar knocks him down. Evans works in against Trader off the split dodge from right to left. Degnon's pass to McDermott's deflected and snared out of the air by Burlace. Colin Burlace brings it back along. 14 turnovers against the Blue Jays in this one.
Just sloppy and as fresh as Hopkins looked in the first 5 minutes of this game. Peter Milliman told us that at halftime. We just get lackadaisical at times, and that was a prime example on that turnover.
Brennan will back away from Ince and drive in. Get underneath and score! Jack Brennan.
That's a big goal for Maryland. Not only because it gives them a 5-goal bulge with 10:45 left to go in this Big Ten semifinal, but Brennan hasn't scored a goal in weeks. That is a confidence booster. Here we go with the no goal. Spanos, that is a crease violation. You were right, Joe. The right toe stepped on the blue line. There you see it. But then Jack Brennan, this is a good goal. Gets underneath, sticks it high to high. Jack Brennan, big goal for big number 41 in red. Maryland is taking control once again on Homewood Field.
Northwestern and Michigan colliding again earlier this season. 𝐒𝐄𝐌𝐈𝐅𝐍𝐀𝐋, Mark, 7 goals indoors in Evanston.
Get on the 𝐒𝐄𝐌 train or get out of the way. She will run you over. Hannah Nielsen, head coach at Michigan, played for Kelly Monty-Hiller. The boss at Northwestern, won multiple national championships. Always fun when those two match wits.
Maryland gets possession again. Largest lead on the day is 13-8. Jack Brennan gave it to him. Brennan, the son of James and Kristen, one of 6 kids in the family. Terps call time to keep possession with 10.5 to go in the fourth. And it has been quite a turnaround for John Tillman's team when it comes to shooting. Off the jump, they missed 8 of their first 9. They've canned 12 of their last 22.
Ridiculous. And that's a Maryland team. We mentioned it a lot when it was going down. 3-0 Hopkins came out. They looked like they were fresh, focused. Maryland looked like they were running in quicksand. Hopkins then started throwing the ball all over the place, turning the ball over. We said that's when Maryland takes advantage. That's exactly what the Terps have done.
A lot of guys have been factors in this Maryland comeback effort, most notably perhaps Owen Murphy.
Owen Murphy, the former Blue Jay, spent the 2020 COVID-shortened year as a member of Johns Hopkins Lacrosse, transfers to the University of Maryland, flourished under the leadership and coaching of Bobby Benson. It's been an up and down 2023 for Murphy. Moved from attack to midfield. Then he suffers the ankle injury about 6 weeks ago, and he was relegated just to extra man offense once conference play commenced. We saw him laboring limping, really favoring that bad ankle. But he looked terrific a couple weeks ago in the first meeting between Johns Hopkins and Maryland. Looked even better last week. And today, he is putting on a show in front of this Johns Hopkins crowd.
I love his shooting stroke, his shooting release. The old goalie in me hates it, though, because I don't know what in the world I would do against it to stop it. But wow, does he have a very pretty shooting stroke. Brian Ruppel sees it every day in practice. Ruppel's the man backstopping the Terps now on this 5-goal advantage and possession for Erksa. Critical juncture now for the Blue Jays. They need to stop here.
And Murphy on the field makes Maryland different at the attack. What I mean by that is he's a dodging option and as well as a great shooter. Daniel Maltz, Daniel Kelly, not really in that vein with respect to that part of their game. They're great shooters, but you can put a short on them and not really worry about them going to the rack. Not the case with Owen Murphy.
Whittier feeds, that gets away from Erksa, ball down. It belongs to the Blue Jays, and Jaronski will take it back. Less than 10 minutes to go in regulation. The winner of this one gets Michigan on Saturday. Be sure to join us 5:30 Eastern on Big Ten Network. Shout out and thanks to all the men and women in our technical crew. They were here since the break of dawn, getting us ready for the semifinal action. Johns Hopkins now in major come-from-behind mode. Blue Jays will give the ball over to Garrett Gibbons and the Terps.
Another mental cramp procedure call against Johns Hopkins. I mean, it's been crazy the amount of giveaways the Blue Jays, just by not thinking, have done today.
Johns Hopkins' share of the regular season title with Penn State. They were 4-1 in conference play, 11-4 overall. Blue Jays the number 2 seed in this tournament. Kyle Long directing traffic now, asking for Dante Trader to exit. Siracusa will step in. Long, making sure this is a long possession for Maryland. Time is the ally of the Terps. Long hits the brakes, feed it inside. Marcial hugging the post there on Murphy. Spanos selling out to the sideline, and it is Johns Hopkins ball thanks to the efforts of Raposo. It was 20 in the white that dove to the sideline closest to the ball where and when it left the field.
Yeah, right now it's for Maryland, it's managing the game, trying to milk this clock down, get out of here with a victory. John Tillman said at halftime, our defense has some new faces. We've got to come together, and they've done exactly that. Will Schaller has blanketed Jacob Angelus today. Angelus a non-factor into this contest, and Nick Redd on the field right now with a long pole has acquitted himself quite nicely. For Hopkins, obviously it's about trying to come back and win, but how do you compete in these last minutes?
Pass to the interior, snapshot off the bar, rattles around and out. Collison takes it away. In the last 8 games, Hopkins has outscored its opposition 23-7. In the last 10 minutes of the game, they've been great finishing kickers, if you will. Red with sturdy defense there on Bauer. 7:40 left in this one. Collison has it in his cross. Taking it to the cage. Sharp angle. Ruppel made the shoulder save and finds it in the crease with heavy hitting around him.
It'll be interesting to see what this call is. That might be on Collison. Poor angle shot. Not the best decision by Collison, but look at that release, a little twister. Sends it far off the right shoulder. And that's going to be on Schaller. Schaller drilled Collison into his goaltender, Brian Ruppel.
Schaller will exit. He was the top-rated long-stick midfielder in the nation of his incoming freshman class.
27 right. Unnecessary roughness. Knocks the player from White into the goalie. It's going to be a 1-minute foul.
Schaller playing today for the injured Ajax Zapatello at close defense in front of Ruppel. Extra man time for the Blue Jays, and they need to be efficient. Right now, trailing by 5 with 7.5 to go.
Peshko and Grimes back in on the EMO for the first time today for Johns Hopkins.
Russell Melendez lurking behind the cage. Off the big sky whammy there, he'll skip it on through. Collison thought about it. Degnon giving ground. Peshko turns the corner. Surveys, going through his options on the perimeter. Angelus, same for him. Grimes, move it. Grimes from the top, exchanging for Degnon. Angelus conducting things. Grimes, step down. Stopped there by Rupel. Another outlet pass. It's on the button for Geppert. Geppert will drag it across midfield and find Erksa. All loose here, gets away from McDonald. Off the scoop, it's kept on the carpet by Brown and shared there for Grimes. Back come the Blue Jays.
Carson Brown, a little hockey action, swerving through the Maryland pressure. Not a bad shot from Grimes. Needs to bounce that maybe a foot or two more in front of Rupel.
Mark, I'm not so sure that Makar was on Melendez at the outset. Melendez had the first 2 goals of the game. Since then, I believe Makar's been with him, and Makar has done a fantastic job on 31 and white.
He's been an eraser today on Melendez after those first 2 tallies for Russell, number 31 in white.
Switch it, Degnon fires, he scores! A laser beam for the hat trick.
Is that the goal to get the Blue Jays going? Velocity, placement. This one is unbelievable. And Degnon looks like he was almost off his back foot, like he didn't get his full weight into it. The wrist strength, the snappy release. That is a thing of beauty, taking Brian Rupel on the Homewood elevator.
Face-off, critical. As always in the fourth, Weirman and Naruski. Popped loose by Weirman and he controls. Luke Weirman says his teammates, his coaching staff, they have so much trust in him. He takes so many draws game after game and he wins so many of the ones that matter most.
Big time player. And now Maryland, they've got to be clean with the ball. I know it was a more competitive game and College Park recently, but Maryland did a poor job of possessing the ball. They turned it over quite a bit in that fourth quarter. This is all about possession management, clock management, and again, trying to get out of here with the W.
In that first meeting, neither team had more than a 1-goal lead until late in the fourth. It finished a 1-goal game in favor of Johns Hopkins today, wearing the white. Kyle Long backed into the corner. Shot clock's at 25. Maneuvering against Raposo. Long going to the goal, throws it over the top. Koras. Get it right back to Kyle Long. Composure and patience from 23 in red. Brennan got himself off the schneid here. Fires and scores! All of a sudden that hot hand returns.
Wow. Muy caliente. Jack Brennan. What a shot. And this is trouble for any future Maryland opponents. Brennan with his second goal. He had really been punchless the last few weeks. The split from right to left, and look at the jump shot. Watch him get the torque, and he puts a dart right over the head of Tin Marseille. Beautiful shot. Way to use all of that tall 6'3" frame.
Weirman gets the draw again against Naruski. Brennan, who prior to today, his last goal came way back against Michigan in the regular season, has fashioned 2 in the fourth to give Maryland some breathing room with 4:20 left in regulation. Spanos circles away from pressure from Juronsky. Hunter with Spanos stride for stride at the midline. The winner of this one gets Michigan on Saturday, 5:30 Eastern on Big Ten Network.
And if we look at the prior meetings between Hopkins and Michigan, 15-11, Wolverines lost that game in Ann Arbor. sloppy clearing effort by Michigan. And then the Wolverines keep getting big wins. At the time, maybe the biggest win in program history, beating Maryland 16-11. They went into College Park, dominated the Terps, and then they got two bigger wins against Ohio State in successive weeks. And then today, an even bigger one over Penn State to propel themselves to their first Big Ten Tournament Championship.
That was a 17-15 decision. Michael Bain had 6 points. Josh Shawada had 5. Hunter Taylor, the netminder, was fabulous in relief in the second half for the Wolverines, who look like they're shaping up to have a date with the Terps. 3 minutes and 15 seconds from the finish line is Maryland with a flag down against Johns Hopkins.
Not only do you have Jack Brennan getting off the schneid, now they've shown a little tweak. Owen Murphy at attack. He spelled Daniel Kelly for the most part here in the second half, but that gives you a dodging option, a shooting option, something else for defensive coordinators to worry about when facing this talented Maryland team.
We have point number 40 in the cross-check. It's personal foul for 1 minute.
Degnon is
We also
gone.
have point number 40 for interference.
Maryland's extra man,
2 fouls, both off the
just under 42% in this 2023 campaign.
There's a cross-check on big number 40.
Sent Makar flying.
So you look back, and this with the extra man, 5-goal lead, 3 minutes left. We got to be thinking a Wolverine-Terrapin Big Ten Championship game. 16-11 was your final. Mikey Bain, 4 goals. Zawada, 3 goals. Jacob Jakson with 3. Ryan Cohen, no goals in that game for the Michigan Wolverines. Braden Erksa tallied 3 for the Maryland Terrapins. Owen Murphy pointless that day, but also injured.
Maryland playing keep away now, Mark. Just spreading the field while on extra man. 2:25 remaining in the contest. Murphy looking for instructions from the sideline. Erksa has no urgency to goal now. Shot clock's at 8. More than likely just going to leave the ball right there on the goal line as the shot clock is going to expire. Turnover back, Blue Jays here, trailing by 5 with 2 minutes to go.
You got to be thinking, too, for Michigan, who gets the start in goal? Shane Carr gave way to Taylor in the second half, who played brilliantly and really provided that Wolverine team a spark. Who gets the nod on Saturday in the Big Ten Championship, which looks like they will face the University of Maryland?
Head coach Milliman of Johns Hopkins says it's so tough to beat a really good team twice in succession. His squad got the jump on Maryland by 1 12 days ago. Melendez going to cage, sends this one wide. Maryland is about to gain revenge in 90 seconds.
And that came to fruition in our first matchup as well, when the Wolverines, who lost to Penn State earlier in the regular season, got revenge, and now Maryland is going to get revenge, and we're going to have the 3 versus 4 in the final for the Big Ten Championship on Saturday.
Koras lobbing this one, gets away from Erksa. Final 71 seconds of play. Maryland will improve to 10-4. Johns Hopkins will settle in at 11-5 and await an at-large bid into the tournament.
Yeah, this Johns Hopkins team is going to be dancing in the NCAA tournament. For sure, no question.
Collison drawing a double team. Melendez steps down and it's right into the cross of Rupel. Ryan Rupel has grown immensely since he took the starting reins for the injured Logan McNaney. Rupel about to backstop his Terps into a Big Ten tournament title game. It'll be official in 33 seconds. Maryland faithful rising up here at Homewood Field. A gorgeous afternoon for a Big Ten tournament doubleheader. Michigan is through, and Maryland is about to join them.
Down at Georgetown with Corey doing the audio, weren't you? This winter. Capital One.
It's like a timeout taken by Maryland late in the game.
Confident group over to the sideline. Jack Brennan with a couple of goals in the fourth. Rupel, his usual steady self from the outset. And Maryland on its way to winning in the rivalry game.
And you got to think another matchup, another subplot to the game on Saturday, Michigan-Maryland, the face-off dot. Justin Wheatfeld, Nick Rowlett, that two-headed monster for the Wolverines, taking on Luke Weirman of the Maryland Terrapins. Weirman has been terrific here today, as he normally is, but Wheatfeld and Rowlett, they are not only Fogos that can get you possession, they can shoot the ball, they can generate assists, hockey assists. That is going to be a fun matchup on Saturday, Wolverines and Terrapins.
Michigan coach Connery calls Wheatfeld the highlight maker, and he was doing that earlier today at the expense of top-seeded Penn State, knocking off the Nittany Lions. The Wolverines have advanced. Coach Milliman's squad going to fall short against Maryland. The Terps had the 6-4 lead at the halftime break, stepped on the pedal in the third quarter with 6 goals in that frame alone to stretch itself away and into the clear. Blue Jays doubling everywhere. Goalie's out of the cage. Marcille settles back into that circle now. This one, in 10 seconds time, belongs to Maryland. The Terps, 19 straight years of seasons with 10 wins. This 10th victory pushes them into the Big Ten Tournament Championship game.
What a win for Maryland. Started off slow, responded, picked Hopkins apart. Took advantage of Blue Jay mistakes all afternoon. Second half in particular got great goaltending from Brian Rupel. And this defense, minus All-American, All-Conference performer Ajax Zapatello and a gimpy John Geppert, gets the job done on Homewood Field.
Third straight time they'll be in the finale of this Big Ten tournament. Waiting only 12 days to exact a measure of revenge from their arch rival Blue Jays, who beat them 12-11 in College Park. Murphy, the transfer from Hopkins, Massachusetts native, feeling much better, you can tell by the bounce in his step. He's heavily bandaged, but he has performed extremely well in the last couple of weeks in particular. Maryland forced to come through the quarterfinals, knocking off Rutgers, and now taking down the nemesis for themselves in the Blue Jays.
Yeah, and again, Murphy makes this team different. A viable dodging option on attack. A guy who can get slides, get defenses rotating. It took him a minute to get his shooting down. Nice saves by Tim Marcille, particularly in the second quarter. But once Murphy found his range, found his opening, he was an absolute difference maker for this Maryland Terrapin ball club. And now you have another piece that if you're Kevin Connery and Jim Rogalski, the defensive coordinator for the Michigan Wolverines, 55, is a viable player that you certainly have to worry about.
Folks, we're just a few moments away from getting you to the Big Ten Women's Lacrosse Tournament. Northwestern and Michigan, Maryland and Rutgers. Maryland all-time against the Scarlet Knights at 24-1. Northwestern has never lost to Michigan. The Wolverines coming into this clash with the Wildcats, having won 5 of their last 7 to close the campaign in style. As these two teams will go through the handshake line, Maryland has the bragging rights today, advancing to the Big Ten Tournament Championship game.
And what a response. I mean, Rutgers, a workmanlike effort in the quarterfinals. Maryland's not used to playing in that quarterfinal round, but that game might have been the elixir that they needed to get back on track, get their mojo, get some momentum. Then they come into Homewood Field, really were ineffective in the first 5 minutes of this game. And then they just absolutely dissected the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. This is a quality win, a top 5 win for a Maryland team that is playing not only for a berth in the NCAA tournament, which they have. They're trying to get a home game and a seed in the big dance.
Strong defense for Maryland. Good net minding from Rupel, holding the Blue Jays to just 9 goals. The Terps have won the last 47 games they've held an opponent under 10. They win today by the final of 14-9 over Johns Hopkins. For Mark Dixon, for all the men and women in our crew, Joe Beninati, thanks for your time. After the commercial timeout, after this TV break, we'll get you to Columbus, Ohio for the Big Ten Women's Lacrosse Tournament. Today, Maryland and Michigan have advanced.